What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about dark promotion credits. This is going to be a priority guide for our dark promotion characters. We're going to try and keep it short and sweet. I did a thing and I had a bunch of different slides and it was 30 minutes long. I was like, no, that's ridiculous. So we're going to keep this one short and sweet because tomorrow there's definitely going to be a long one. We're going to do a gold promo priority guide, especially because that offer for 3,000 gold promos for $50 came out. I've had countless messages about that. I know that's a spenders thing. But maybe it'll help you with your own gold promos if you happen to have some, or if you did crack and buy that offer. And I would be looking at Blue Stars, who knows? But let's talk about dark promos right now. So let's quickly lay out the philosophy behind this video, behind dark promos in general. My philosophy is that I would rather have a wide roster than a super tall roster. I no longer build just for Arena. I build for Crucible, I build for War, I build for Raids, I build for Arena. I would rather have more tools than one really sharp tool. So, in this video, my actual suggestion is that the characters you see, bring them all up to 5 red stars before we move on to 6 red stars, before we move on to 7 red stars, before we move on to fun projects. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So we got speculation right out the gate, okay? So Apocalypse, he already had his first event where the ranked rewards were going to be 5, 6, and 7 red stars for him. Currently not in the store. Same with Black Cat. The reason I'm putting them there, and I guess not Super Scroll, is it's likely that Apocalypse gets placed in the store very soon at similar prices to Dormammu and I believe Quicksilver. And Black Cat, if Nova's already in the store for 6 and 7, which I do believe is the case, then we can expect her to go in the store soon as well. So it's almost like maybe don't just blow your dark promos simply because you can get an upgrade right now, because they would still be the number 1, number 2 priority, and they could actually be intertwined. Like you could swap them out. I think Black Cat actually does rival Apocalypse in plug and play power with a 132 speed and a trauma stun turn 1. Crazy character. She's gonna be so good. She overshines Nova, unfortunately, but they would be 1 and 2. But that's kind of speculation. So let's go not speculation now. Quicksilver. Quicksilver becomes a new character at 5 red stars. So he's like Bulbasaur. He starts as super garbage, and then he evolves to Ivysaur at 5 red stars, and then he evolves to Venusaur at 6 red stars, and then he evolves to Mewtwo at 7 red stars. All right, maybe that's not the way the evolution works, but I think you get my point. He starts bad, and he becomes amazing. Amazing. I actually would say he becomes a Venusaur at 5 red stars, a Mewtwo at 6 red stars, and then just a higher level Mewtwo at 7. Yeah, just a really good character. Definitely worth your dark promos. He becomes a one-man team or a power couple with Doom in Crucible and in War, and he's going to be used in the Black Cat trial. I think he's going to be super influential on how people rank there. Don't sleep on Quicksilver, especially because, I mean, they're not being super generous with the shards, but they're being way more generous than they were or than they are with Big Time Spider-Man, right? And he's just better than Big Time Spider-Man. He deserves to be on this list. Next, we got Archangel, Raid, War, Crucible, phenomenal character. Definitely worth the 5 red stars. Followed by Red Hulk next, Morgan after that, Nova after that, Rogue after that, and finally Dormammu. Dormammu, let's kind of shelve him for now. Like, he's definitely worth 5 and the next one. Let's just go there now. 5 and 6 red stars. He's definitely worth those. He's more expensive though. So let's kind of shelve him, and we'll talk more about him in 2 slides from now. So the build priority, again, we got speculation here. We got Apocalypse and Black Cat. As soon as they're available for 6 red stars, they kind of become your priority. So it's not a bad idea to try and have 3,000 or 4,000 dark promos on hand for if they do get put in there, then you can, quickly jump on the 5 red star, quickly jump on the 6, quickly jump on the 7, that kind of thing. But Quicksilver would actually be my number 1 up to 6 red stars. I believe this one costs 3,500. Well worth it. Well worth it. Amazing character. We already talked about where he kind of excels, and he's just going to excel even more. He becomes a beast at 6 red stars. After that, Archangel. I would actually do Archangel before Red Hulk in this case, simply because Archangel needs to hit certain breakpoints on his damage. Like if you're going against Young Avengers, he needs to one-shot Squirrel Girl. If you're going in against the Bifrost in Crucible Stage 2, he needs to be able to make sure that Sylvie does die, or that he's actually peeling buffs and one-shotting Teen Loki, something like that. So having him at 6 red stars before Red Hulk is useful for that. But Red Hulk does definitely get a nod after that. Red Hulk is kind of relegated to defense for most people right now. And he's not holding in any mode now. They've released now 2 counters to Pure Gamma in War, and like 4 counters to Gamma, 4 or 5 counters to Gamma in Crucible. So it doesn't really hold much anymore. But we got an interesting conversation to have about Red Hulk later. And then finally, build priority to 7 red stars. And this is pure speculation. I don't think any of the current characters are worth building up to 7 red stars. I just don't think that's the case. When Apocalypse and Black Cat get there, I do think they do. I think Black Cat's damage is insane, and Apocalypse, he's going to have an evergreen kit. When Apocalypse does get put in there, it's kind of a now or never thing. Same thing with Doom, same thing with Dorm. When they were added, it was kind of like, do it now and enjoy that benefit for the most amount of time, or don't do it at all. And that's going to be the same thing with Apocalypse. He does an evergreen kit. He's going to, flip everything his first turn. Then he's going to do a super punch, which is max health. So it's always going to be usable, plus damage, plus he gets offense up. But it's still now or never. And then, so we've kind of done our up to 6 red stars. Like, what do you do for fun project at that point? Now, this is going to be a little contentious, and I definitely welcome criticism and conversation in the comment sections now. Fun projects. I would say Dormammu actually does land up over here next to Big Time Spider-Man, probably going from, I think you do bring him to 5, and then maybe the 6 star becomes a fun project. The first one I would do. Big Time Spider-Man. This is a tough one. We get so little shards for Big Time Spider-Man unless you are in a phenomenal rating guild. We've now had rank 1 3 times, rank 2 once, and then top 10 the other time, or something to that effect. And I still don't have him at 5 stars yet. And the shards that you get, they drop off like exponentially as you get lower into the percentile brackets for raids. So this is a very luxury, very niche character for most people. And having him at like 3 red stars, 3 yellow stars, you might as well still just have him at 3 yellow stars. Until you can get him up to that 5 mark, he doesn't really change much. And even then, in War Defense, he's never going to be usable. Like, yes, the Infestation team is amazing. They will always be beaten by a Tangled Web, Kang, Hawkeye, Yo-Yo. As long as that Hawkeye and that Yo-Yo are built up so he can't one-shot them, it's fine. And with Yo-Yo giving defense up on spawn to Hawkeye and herself, it's not that hard for them to survive. Like, I do have a built-up Hawkeye, but I've faced a 7 yellow, 5 red star Big Time Spider-Man who crit me on my Hawkeye and still didn't take me below 50% life on Hawkeye. Because the damage from Big Time happens before the flip on the defense up, and he doesn't hit that hard. He just doesn't. And he doesn't get assists on his ultimate either. So your Hawkeye always survives. Weaver is always without blind. Same with Kang. And then those two people have really built up, and they kill the entire Infestation team before Weaver charges fall off, and you're in danger. So you don't build Big Time for War Defense. You build him for Dark Dimension 6, which you don't build characters for Dark Dimension 6. So what are you building him for? You're building him for Crucible. He's going to be a plug-and-play Crucible character with 128 speed in the ultimate, which does strip or does flip all buffs with 1,000% focus, is unblockable, can't be dodged. It's an amazing ability. It only does it to the primary target. So this is a very niche, very powerful character when he has the red stars. So he is kind of the first fun project, I would suggest. Morgan goes up to 6 then. She kind of like Quicksilver. She evolves when she gets to like 6 or 7 red stars to just kind of a beast who's just one-shotting characters out the gate. But you can't really argue for bringing her there if you haven't already done so. If you have done so, I'm not trying to downplay her amazing potential at that build. I'm just saying that now is not the time people should go back and do that with their dark promos. There's the newer characters to focus on, and newer is always better in mobile games. It just is. Red Hulk. You notice this is a huge flip on the priority list here. I have Red Hulk in front of Quicksilver and in front of Archangel down there, who they were all marked at 6 red stars. Red Hulk is going to be taking this position with Apocalypse as a power couple. So right now we have Weaver and 2099 as a power couple, Cersei and Icarus as a power couple. But 2099 and Cersei, they're good. Mechanically, they do what they're supposed to do, but they don't do damage. Red Hulk as a power couple with Apocalypse comes in, he gives Apocalypse a bunch of speed bar, he does a huge rewind to people. I think it's 20% outside of war, right? Gives offense down, and if they don't kill him, but they just kind of, tickle him until he ults, then he smashes. So he's actually very valuable to have at 7 red stars as a fun aside project, and this is actually going to give you benefits as long as Apocalypse is still in play. And like I said, Apocalypse has an evergreen kit. So as long as you have those two still in play, they're going to have probably 2.5 years left of usefulness. Maybe not on their teams, maybe not as like the best combo ever, but think of how good the Eternals are now. We're still using Eternals and Crucible 2 years after release. I'm suggesting Red Hulk and Apocalypse will probably hit that mark, and maybe they'll be with the Eternals down there in 2.5 years. So having him at 7 red stars, I think would give you more benefit than having the other characters below him. And yes, we are reading left to right, up to down. Quicksilver would be next. I think Quicksilver does plateau at 6 red stars. I think that's when he is like his highest evolution. But when we have him at 7 red stars, it's kind of just adding a little bit of a cherry on top of that cake, cherry on top of that cupcake, on top of that smoothie. I don't know. I'm hungry, I guess. It's good, but it doesn't change his functionality. So it's just kind of a nice little luxury. Same thing with Morgan, bringing her up to 7. Nova to 6 red stars is kind of an interesting one. I think it'll help you get a better Black Cat. But do you care to build one character up for these Scourge style events where we eventually we all get them to 7 yellow stars? I don't think that's the case for most people. Nova plug and play potential in Crucible is actually really good. In War, obviously they're the best team right now, but he doesn't need to be past 5 red stars to beat any of the current teams. Like a Nowhere team can punch up 600k into Infestation, can punch up 600k into Gamma, though there is that one tricky moment of RNG people keep falling into, or people have fallen into, where they can lose. But he doesn't need to be 6 red stars. So why would you do this? Plug and play in Crucible. 126 with a turn 1 stun, very impactful. His battlefield effect is kind of just okay. It's not as good as Red Hulk's. It just clears Red Hulk's, which is kind of the main point of it. So yeah, I would bring him up to 6 red stars. He gets overshadowed by Black Cat. Crazy, right? Because Black Cat comes in with 132 speed, but her stun, which is also turn 1, is followed with trauma. So she can actually stun Super Skrull if you can get her to target him in time. So Nova gets completely overshadowed by the next legendary, who just happened to be released so quickly after his. Still a good character, though. Then it would be Archangel. You don't need the 7th red star in Archangel for him to do what we need him to do, what we talked about earlier. We need Archangel to one-shot the Squirrel Girl, one-shot the Sylvie. He does that at 6 red stars against all the kinds of Squirrel Girls and Sylvies. All the Gear Tier 18s, ISO 5s. If they are set up properly with an ISO attack, he just does that. So you don't need to bring him up to 7 red stars, but it's nice. It's a fun little project. Now where we get spicy. Zombie Iron Man from 1 to 5. Costs the same thing as Big Time does 1 to 5, right? Zombie Iron Man, main purpose of his kit is to use the enemy's power against them. He doesn't need red stars to do that. He gets the focus on his abilities. He just needs to get bleeds. It doesn't even need to be his bleeds. So he's performing functionally with 0 red stars. So the main thing I suggest when people say, should I put red stars on Zombie Iron Man? It's like, are you done everybody else? If so, then sure, because he does have value with red stars. All of a sudden, when you're facing off against the Infinity Watch in Crucible, and his ultimate, which is a permakill, actually does damage, and it actually gets you a permakill that saves you on efficiency. But that is such a niche luxury thing that he needed to fall so far down this list. Then we have Doom, bringing Doom from 4 to 5. He starts at 4 red stars, right? Bringing him from 4 to 5 is very expensive. I think it's 3,000. Then 5 to 6, I believe, is 3,500. Again, kind of like Morgan, now is not the time to do him. If you haven't done him already, then there's no going back to do him at this point, which is kind of the same thing for Zombie Iron Man. The cadence at which these Dark Promo characters are being released is only going to speed up, in my opinion. So now is just not the time to do it if you haven't already. His damage is nice. I mean, it's trash until he's doing his special with the ultimate, but that's not really the purpose of Doom anymore. The purpose of Doom is buff flips on his empowered basic, or his charged basic after he does his ultimate, and bringing your actual best character on the field for 3 turns. Whether that be Quicksilver, whether that be Icarus, whether that be Dormammu, whatever the case may be. he's a mechanical character now. So the red stars are nice to make sure he doesn't just straight up die, which he can do in this new meta against these newer characters, and to slightly increase his damage or chance of flipping. But those red stars are not necessary. In fact, sometimes it works against you because he doesn't get dropped below his 50% marker to get the energy and the speed bar. But yeah, I would still do him up to 5 or 6 red stars if I had nothing else to do. Rogue to 6 red stars. After that, Rogue is, I mean, how unfortunate the limited team is so bad in their game mode, right? I wish I could say bring Rogue to 7 red stars, but the truth is if you want your limited team to be better, you bring Gambit to 7 red stars. Which, I mean, no, that's actually a good thing because dark promos are way more rare than gold promos at this point. So it's a good thing that in the game mode, you just work on Gambit instead, maybe even Dazzler. But she will have good use in War as a plug-and-play character. So I don't hate the idea of bringing her up to 6 red stars, but like, look how far down this list she is. She would be the very, 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 very last. And then finally, there is Ultron. Now, they gave us 5 red stars on Ultron when they reworked Masters of Evil. If you weren't here for that event, I don't think he will ever be worth your dark promos. He's dead last, and this we're not even talking about Ultimates. Ultimates doesn't exist to me. Ultron would be dead last here. The only reason you would bring Ultron red stars up is to stop him from losing efficiency when you use Masters of Evil against like Unlimited, where Gambit just pings your Ultron to death immediately, right? That would be the only reason. Can he hit hard? Does he hit hard with huge red stars? He does, 100%. It will save you efficiency. But it won't change your win or loss. Like, your win or loss is going to be determined by the size of your Kang and maybe the size of your Titania. So, take it for what you will. He would be the dead last, but it is worth it if you are a huge Crucible head, which I guess is the same thing for Big Time Spider-Man. They're just at polar opposites because of what they need to do with those red stars. But yeah, guys, that's going to be the end of this list. It did still run 16 minutes, so sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a wonderful day. I can't believe I've rambled on for 16 minutes doing this. Take care. Bye-bye. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.